Alright y'all, just jumping in here in voiceover real quick before the video starts. This was another one of the videos I recorded on the day where the microphone cable wasn't quite plugged in all the way. I've done the best that I can with the audio, but there may still be a little bit of wind noise and a little different sound compared to usual. But it's still a good video with some very interesting results, so let's hop into it. Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got another very interesting head-to-head to run. It's kind of a part 2 to a video we recently did, testing a little bit of lead versus TSS, and this combo is the second part of that. We're definitely going to get some more pretty interesting results out of it for sure. And after seeing this, we're really going to have a good idea on what the true difference is between a lead and TSS load, especially if you're running a pretty limited or a little older school setup like we've got today. But first up, we'll start with today's setup, that being this guy. This is my old New England Firearms Pardner model SB1 youth model 410 shotgun. This was my childhood turkey hunting gun, and clearly it is a very limited setup. I added a little bit of extra length of pull to it to make it a little bit better for an adult, and I recently had it drilled and tapped and put a Simmons Pro Target red dot up on top just to make my life a little more easier and actually allow me to fit the shotgun a little bit better. But it's got a 22-inch barrel on it with a fixed full choke that measures right about 395, very typical full choke range. But this combo is always fun for me to bring out and test. I've always liked shooting it for one reason or another. We know it's limited for turkey hunting, but I have taken a bird with it a few years ago with TSS. It can certainly do the job, but you have to be a little more picky about your shot selection. So today, we're going to be running some more lead and TSS through it side by side to see just how far we've come with ammo advancement with these newer TSS shells. But for our loads today, I got 2 Winchester offerings here. You can go get both of these right off the store shelf, so I figured this will be a pretty decent head-to-head comparison and give us a decent chance at seeing the true difference. So for the lead, we've got Winchester XX Diamond Grade. These are a 410 3-inch 3/4 ounce payload of lead 7.5 shot at about 1100 feet per second. When it comes to lead in a 410, limiting yourself to 30 yards with a 7.5 shot is probably your best idea. And for the TSS, we've got the Winchester Longbeard TSS loads. They're a 410 3-inch 13/16 ounce payload of TSS 9s at about 1100 feet per second. So pretty similar specs here, just TSS and lead. A little bit different shot sizes, and I think we're going to see some big difference in performance as well, because this TSS stuff has brought the 410 a long way. Even in the older, more limited fixed choke setups like this, it has actually legitimately turned them into a good turkey hunting gun. So we'll see what these two can do head to head. But as for our testing today, we're running everything the same as we usually do. However, we've got both turkey targets set up side by side at 30 yards today. Considering we're running a 7.5 shot for the lead load, they specifically say 30 yards should be about your limitation, and I agree with that for energy and penetration sake and pattern sake as well, considering the setup that we're putting them through. And if you're running a combo like this, chances are you're trying to get the birds inside of 30 yards anyway. So both targets 30 yards. We've got the chronograph as well to get our velocity from them, and we'll put these two side by side and see just how much improvement we can get from an old fixed choke 410 when we put a TSS load through it. I have an idea what we're going to get, but let's take some shots and see what we actually do get for patterns. Alright, quick look through the chrono numbers before we check out our targets. Boss claim for both shells was 1100. Our lead 7.5 XX shell gave us 1186. And our Longbeard TSS 9s gave us 1138. So both are moving a little quicker than boss claim, even through our little bit shorter 22-inch barrel. But that's a perfectly adequate velocity for both of them. Within 30 yards, that's perfectly fine, even for the 7.5 load. But what kind of a difference did we actually get as far as patterns go? Let's check it out and see. Alright, well, here we have our two 30-yard targets side by side. I do apologize for the sun glare. We'll get a better look at them here in just a second. It's just that point in the afternoon. Not much I can really do about it, unfortunately. But on the left, we have our XX lead 7.5s, and on the right, we have our Longbeard TSS 9s. And there is a definite difference between these two. But I'll be honest, the Longbeard TSS didn't quite do as good as what I thought it might, especially for 30 yards. But it's a very limited setup that we ran it through. And it's still definitely more capable than what we got with the lead. We can still see the difference for sure, but it's still a good comparison because both of these can be found right on the same store shelf. But we'll start first here with our lead 7.5s. We absolutely do have a dead bird. There are a couple up through the brain and a couple more down the spine. So that is 30 yard capable, but you can tell pretty quickly here that 30 yards is the limitations. This is obviously quite a bit more of a broad spread of pellets, no doubt about it. No super hot centralized core area, just kind of more so shot on paper than anything else. And obviously, if we ran these shells through a tighter turkey choke, we could condense these down a little more. But if you're running an older fixed full choke gun, that's about the expectations you can have. That's another reason why they say on the box, limit yourself to 30 yards, both for pattern's sake and energy and penetration. So is it good enough 30? Yes. I would not step it any farther than that. And if I'm running those shells through this setup, I'm going to try to keep it 25 yards and in, preferably. This would probably reliably take a bird out to 30, but you're definitely starting to push your limits for sure because you don't have a ton of pellets right around that head and neck area to work with. But now moving over here to the right with our Longbeard TSS 9s, we still do have a dead turkey. There are a couple through the brain there and another few down towards the lower part of the spine that would have done the job, but it is still a little bit thin throughout our core area there around that bird's head. Kind of a similar story, a little bit of shot, a little bit all over the place really. I didn't expect a super condensed down tight turkey pattern from this combo with these shells, but I definitely wouldn't have minded to see it a little bit better than that, at least throughout our core area. Now, clearly though, you still have plenty of pellets there to do the job. There's plenty more of them on that turkey paper. It's going to give you a little more leeway to work with, and obviously you could push these a little farther distance as well, if your pattern holds up anyway. So this is still the better option. But as far as patterns go anyway, I guess let's actually tear down both of these turkey targets. I'll finish circling and counting everything, and we'll really get a good idea on the exact number difference between the two patterns here. Okay, so here we have both of our patterns side by side without any turkey target on there, and we can definitely see the difference here. The numbers don't lie. Both are solid patterns for what they are, but the TSS does have a few little bits and pieces to it that I wish were a touch better, but it's still the better option for sure. Again, moving over to the left here first with our lead 7.5 XX loads. We have 44 pellets within a 10-inch circle. Pretty decent even coverage there for the most part. Might get a touch thin towards the left, but only 44 pellets. We picked up an additional 92 within our 20-inch leeway ring. Still kept that same pretty even spread with a little void over here to the right. But overall, that's about what I expected to see. Obviously, still have plenty of them outside of that as well. No surprise there. Overall, that is capable enough to kill a turkey, but that would make a phenomenal small game or wing shooting pattern. And that's really where I like these XX loads in 410. So, solid pattern for what it is, but we all know that it has its limitations for sure. Max range, max pattern capability, all of that stuff. But for what it is, solid pattern overall, not bad. Now we move over here to the right with our TSS shells, and the numbers don't lie. We've got more of them here to work with. Obviously, they're a 9-shot instead of a 7.5, and a little larger payload, so you're gonna have more pellets within your shell. Within the 10-inch core area, we now have 83 pellets compared to 44, so almost double. However, you can see we have a little bit of a thinner area in the middle and towards the bottom of that core. Don't love that, but kind of is what it is. These shells are good. They're not the best TSS shells out there by a long shot. We have tried better through that gun before, but I figured we'll keep this comparison from Winchester in particular and see what we get. We know we can have a better core than that, but that's pretty realistic for the setup at 30 yards. Good enough to take a turkey with it for sure. And from shot to shot, you would probably pick up a few more pellets within there. Now outside of that, with our 20-inch leeway circle, we have 124 additional pellets compared to only 92. Not a massive jump, but a noticeable one. We definitely have a few more pellets to work with in our leeway area, and that is really where these shells come into play. The TSS, in a pretty limited 410 like that one is with a fixed choke, gives you more pellets to work with within your 20-inch circle ring. More in the core, more in your leeway, and just more in your entire pattern. We still have our fair share of stuff around the edges, don't get me wrong, that's no surprise. But the main portion of our pattern has more pellets to work with, and those TSS 9s can be pushed to farther ranges if need be, and if your pattern holds up. Technically, you could push that a little farther, but as far as the pattern capability goes, I really like that at 30 yards and in. It may not be the perfect TSS pattern within itself, but it definitely beats the lead out by a little bit for sure. Overall, if I'm hunting this setup, I would ideally want to use a TSS load. That's just the way it is. I have killed a bird out of that shotgun with TSS loads several years ago, so I know it can do it just fine. And so can the lead. You just have to limit yourself. Both of these combos could do the job, but that's a good side-by-side representation on how much more you can get from a TSS shell in a 410, especially when you're running an older limited combo with a fixed choke. You have more pellets to work with, more energy, more penetration, and longer distance capabilities overall. So not really too surprising here. It's probably about what I expected to see, but we've got a really nice small game pattern on the left with our lead 7.5s and a perfectly solid 30-ish yard and in type of turkey combo on the right with our TSS. And here are the two wads from those shells. You've got your lead 7.5 XX wad over here on the left in two pieces. Not uncommon that we separate the petals off of those for whatever reason. They're just not overly attached all that strong. But here's your Longbeard TSS wad over here on the right. Typical stuff, nothing fancy or special to see. Both of them look exactly like I would expect that they typically do. So nothing out of the normal to see here. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about this performance right here? Both of them are decent patterns for what they are. You've got good small game pattern with those lead shells over there, and you've got a turkey capable combo with the TSS. But also, you could shoot a turkey with this combo and be perfectly fine as well. Overall, we know that shotgun is limited. We know these shells are going to be limited, especially those lead ones, when we put them through this particular combo. Obviously, if you put them through a modern setup with an actual tighter turkey choke, you're going to see a little bit different story here. Those TSS shells are going to be much more condensed than the lead shells are, but really where this comes into play is with these older shotguns and fixed full chokes. The TSS gives you more pellets to work with, and the pellets themselves have better terminal performance when they actually hit the bird than the lead does. Both of them can do the job, and both of them serve their purposes. If you want a challenge or you're on a budget, then run the lead and just have your birds come in really close to you if you can get that opportunity. If not, the TSS is going to afford you a little bit more wiggle room to work with. So now that we've seen that particular shotgun with 2.5 and 3-inch lead versus TSS comparisons, maybe we do something similar with an actual modern fancy turkey setup like my Mossberg with tighter chokes and stuff like that, and see if that trend continues. Let me know if that's something you guys might want to see, because it's always fun testing different stuff like this, especially lead loads that a lot of people don't really think about when it comes to turkey capability. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested anything like this as far as an old fixed choke 410 running lead versus TSS? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Which of these setups would you prefer? Obviously, neither one is a phenomenal, awesome 410 turkey hunting pattern. We know we can get tremendously better patterns than this through a modern fancy setup. No doubt about it. But both of these are capable, so which one would you take? Would you challenge yourself with the lead, or would you just stick with TSS? And what other combos like this do you want to see? Us running stuff like this through a more modern setup? We can run other shells through this old NEF gun and see what it does? Let me know what you guys might want to see down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.